Welcome to the first 2019 Houston Clutter Coaching Meetup. We are talking today with Gail Goddard, professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Ferry in Houston, Texas. And
Hi, everybody.
Our topic is A Penny Saved, Budget-Friendly Organizing Strategies. Gail's going to give us her thoughts on the topic, and then we'll take your questions. And if you have a question while she's talking, please feel free to give it to us in the chat, and I'll relay those to Gail. And if you would like to ask a question yourself by audio or on video, use the raise hand feature in the chat, and I will turn on your microphone and your video as appropriate so that you can participate if you like. You can also just put your questions in the chat and I'll relay them to Gail if you prefer to do it that way. Over to you, Gail.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. It's 2019 and January again. And what that means is it's Get Organized Month. This is the time of year when everybody starts deciding to dig out their spaces and they hit the internet for solutions and ideas and support. And it's not long before you've gone down the rabbit hole that is Pinterest, and you find yourself looking at all the magical photos of the beautiful room with matching boxes all over everywhere. And there's 3 books and a little vase with flowers in a picture. And I'm thinking in particular of a craft room, and it's always a picture of a craft room like no craft room I've ever seen in any of my houses or clients ever. Pinterest always creates that look that looks very serene and clean and like nobody actually ever uses it or lives in it. The problem comes when you dig into the Pinterest picture and you start looking at the matching boxes and what those are going to cost, where they are, and you figure out that that box is really an acid-free box that's a large document size, and each one of those boxes is from the Container Store and it costs about the price of a prime rib at a restaurant. So they're not cheap options usually in the Pinterest pictures. And if budget is an issue for you, you can sort of get lost in trying to accomplish a Pinterest goal and not have the budget to accomplish it. So we want to talk today about how to get budget-oriented supplies, ways for you to find penny pinching solutions to organizing problems, and also talk about budget-worthy ways to get help, professional help or not professional help either, and have you working on your project with some support in mind, not doing it all by yourself. So we're going to cover all that today. If you have specific questions, as he said, please chime in. I'm happy to chat with you live, or he will read the chats to me because I can't really watch them and talk to you at the same time. So he'll read your chat questions to me when he thinks I'm going to take a breath, I guess, generally. Okay, so we're going to talk about the budget supplies first. You want to try to maximize your trips. We'll just start out with, if you're on a hunt for bargains, the first thing you're going to do is go in and out of a bunch of stores. So you just want to, as you're planning your trips, do a little budget, do a little plan for where you're going to go to the stores to try to maximize all the driving around. You don't want to spend all your budget going on the hunt, basically. But it's bargain hunting time, right? So, okay. So the best thing about having this topic right now is that because January is Get Organized Month, and this is sort of the season when people start thinking about getting organized, it's the perfect time to go find organizing supplies. So all of the stores that regularly have sort of seasonal transitional stuff through their stores, they just had a whole bunch of Thanksgiving and Christmas decor, and they're taking all that down and they're putting up organizing stuff. And so for the next 6 or 8 weeks, you should be able to get some kind of organizing something from everybody, from the regular stores you expect, Target, Walmart, but also Pier 1 and World Market and the grocery store. They will all have some little end cap somewhere that has a nod to organizing supplies. And so it might be their loss leader. They're trying to get you into their store, and so they're going to have something there that is going to be low cost and might help you solve a problem. These stores will have, they may not have a full array. It's not like going to the Container Store, right? You're not going to go and have every option for every available solution to all your problems, but you will have 1 or 2, 3 or 4 low-cost solutions that are only available for a few weeks while they're stocking in the store until they rotate out for Valentine's. So you should be able to go and put your hands on some things that are for sale right now that'll be useful for you in the project. I have found that even the stores that have sort of organizational aisles, like Target always carries a few aisles of stuff, Walmart always has a few aisles of stuff. When it gets to be this time of year, they beef up those areas and they add a whole bunch of more supplies in, and they put a bunch of it on sale. So it's a perfect time to go corralling in and out of everybody's store looking for stuff. And there'll even be little things in, you know, you go into CVS or the Walgreens drugstore, and there's going to be some little aisle that has little organizing things on it. So be creative about where you ask and where you look, because right now you'll be able to find something everywhere. Aside from new items in stores, you might want to check out garage sales or resale shops. There is plenty of stuff that people buy for a purpose. They clean out their parents' house. There's something going on and they have to have a garage sale, or you know, they send things off to the resale store to get rid of it. And there may be some really great organizing solutions that are low cost to you that'll be perfect for your problem, but they came out of somebody else's house and you get them at the bargain basement and garage sale price, right? So sometimes those look a little dusty, dirty. Part of the reason that people discard them is because they look dirty to them. But really all it means is that they're plastic and they need to be washed. Usually they just need a bath. So if you get out the Dawn dish soap or you get out 409 and spray something down, you can recover a piece of plastic that was looking really grungy before and have it really look brand new again. So it may not look pretty when you bring it home from a resale shop or a garage sale, but you should be able to recover it so that it looks really close to new when you get it home. It's a great way to grab a few things that somebody else tried and or whatever they were using it for, they no longer need it, and you still have what in essence is a brand new piece. I'm sure that we all have access to a dollar store. There are always great deals in the dollar store. That's their model, right? So any kind of a dollar pricing store will have some kind of organizing things. They just won't have a ton. And their products are really random. So they don't really have a consistent inventory. That's their model. So they get the stuff that they can buy cheaply, lots, whatever, however they supply their store, but it's really not very consistent. So the trick about the dollar store, and anybody that frequents the dollar store knows this, you go in and there's always something new and unusual in there, right, that you haven't seen before. And when you go back 6 weeks later, it's all gone and they don't have it anymore. So it's just a good place to look for. They got their hands on a low cost batch of something and they're passing it on to you. And there might be solutions there for you as well. It just means, like all bargain hunting, that you have to go back to that store more often than once. Can't believe I'm telling a Clutter Fairy group that that's bad. But if you're on the hunt for low cost supplies, you're gonna have to do a little legwork to get there, right? One piece of advice I want to give is that you make sure that you go with a plan for your shopping. This is decluttering 101. When you decide that you need to declutter the house, the first thing is not to go shopping. Everybody wants to go run and buy all the organizing supplies they need in order to make everything look better. The truth is, the first step really is you need to sort and purge your stuff. You need to go through and make sure that you have a very clear idea of what you're trying to contain, what problems you're trying to solve, how much you have of any given item, so that when you go shopping, you know, I need to contain, you know, 2 drawers worth of makeup. I need to contain a junk drawer and I don't have enough, you know, subdividers in the junk drawer to solve that problem. I need to put all my shoes in boxes, or I need to corral my craft supplies. You want to have a good idea of how much of that stuff that you have. So don't go shopping first. You want to make sure that you go through the process of decluttering, sort of stage 1, sort everything out, purge what's going to be donated or gotten rid of, and then assess what you have left. And as you look at that collection, then you can make a list. Okay, I'd really like to be able to put this makeup up in the drawer in a nice way. I really need to corral my jewelry. You want to give yourself a list of the problems you're trying to solve in the house before you go shopping, so that you don't buy everything you see because it's a deal, and you don't buy 30, big 50-gallon buckets to solve a problem that will be solved with a shoebox. What I'm saying? So you really want to be clear what your issue is and what the volume of that issue is before you actually try to go shopping. So do a little purging and sorting first, and it'll make your shopping trip easier and much more targeted. And then you won't come home with 15 things that really don't work for you, and now you have to go take them all back. That's the bottom line. If your budget is super, super tight, you may want to take advantage of your family and friends at this point. So all of the clients that I go to have lots of, I used to use this organizing product and it's lost its purpose. I'm not using it anymore. I emptied the stuff. I used it up, whatever. And then all those empty containers are in the garage or in a closet or something like that. I end up going and pulling out of their own stash in order to use them in different places in the house. And so your relatives, your friends may have unused, it's not working for them, storage items anymore that they would be more than happy to give you to use. So if you're super desperate or you want to try something before you buy, you might ask your friends or your family, what do they have that they're not using they'd be willing for you to borrow, take off their hands. It's one less thing they have to store in the house, so they may be super thrilled that you want to take it away. And again, when you get something from somebody like that, get out the Dawn, get out the 409, and you can wipe it down and get rid of a lot of what looks like permanent dirt on plastic. It's not really permanent. That's the thing. They're easy to recover, and so it's worth the time to do that. The other thing that I want to talk about in terms of getting ready, trying to get organized, is when you are on a budget, this is the perfect time to think about the reuse part of the recycle idea. Instead of looking for something new, you can look at stuff that you have now and see if it can be reused in a different way. So any kind of a cereal box, carton, jar, can, old food container, there's a million objects that come in containers that are temporary, that you can use temporarily while you focus on another solution in future. So I've done this where I've needed, the client doesn't have the budget and I need to put dividers in a junk drawer, for instance. And so I've cut down cereal boxes, cracker boxes, just to create a little divider container to fill in the junk drawers with something. And so those kinds of objects can be no cost to you at all, and you can test your theory about, will it work if I subdivide this drawer for my makeup, and if I have these kind of dividers, and do I like this, is this enough, will this solve my problem? And you can make use of it, you can try out something without having to invest money up front. So it's a great way to corral makeup or hardware or jewelry, little jewelry pieces. Think about an egg carton. Everybody gets an egg carton, and when you use up the eggs, here's the carton, it goes in the trash. But a lot of them are made out of molded paper now or clear plastic, and you can sit that out, and basically that's a whole bunch of little cups all connected to each other that you can put earrings in if you want, or you can put little pieces of hardware in if you have a collection of hardware somewhere. So it's a perfect way to subdivide a drawer, or to put something out on the counter and have your earrings be separate, for instance, without having to spend any money on your part. So one of the ideas is a planter. When you buy plants, they come in that plastic container, and it's a recyclable container, and most people recycle them, or they throw them in the corner of the garage and never bring them out again, and then I recycle them when I come to the house. But basically that's a round, stiff container that you can stand stuff in. So if you want to try out having containers under the sink, for instance, or if you want containers to sit on a shelf to hold stuff on the shelf so that it doesn't fall out, when you're in your bathroom, basically linen closet, and you want to put your medications or your bandages or your, cleaning supplies. Those kind of planters can be repurposed to hold things upright on a shelf or under in a cabinet. Yeah, they're not pretty, but this is where you get to be crafty, right? So all of these reuse containers are in essence a craft project waiting to happen. You can get out the spray paint, you can get out wrapping paper, you can get out pens or paper or whatever you want to do to play with it and make it look pretty and make yourself happy about it. But the bottom line is there are lots of containers that pass through our lives that you can grab and reuse for a while if you need to in the short term. It can solve you a problem. It can test a theory about if you organize it this way, will you like it? Will you keep it up? Does it help you do it or make it worse for you? All of those containers can help you sort of experiment and try the theory without investing a bunch of money up front. Even paper bowls, paper cups, Ziploc bags are great. Ziploc bags, I use Ziploc bags everywhere because basically you can do all of your sorting in a drawer, in a room, in a big drawer, in a junk drawer, in a bathroom drawer. You can sort all the contents and you can group it by Ziploc. So you can create your categories and zip those categories together. And then the Ziplocs can still free float in the drawer. What that means is when you want a particular kind of, here's a Ziploc with all the mascaras in it, or here's the Ziplocs with all the eye makeup in it, you pull that out and pluck out what you want and put it back and zip it again. And it's not, the Ziplocs free floating, but the contents don't free float in the drawer. So it helps you keep up with them and helps you keep them separated, and you can put your hands on exactly what you want easier if there's a bunch of Ziplocs involved in your drawer. It's a perfect thing for crafting, and people tend to throw craft supplies in a big mess, a big bundle of chaos, and Ziplocking craft supplies with like is a great way for you to go pluck, here's all of my foil paper, here's all of my washi tape, here's all of my glue sticks, that kind of stuff, so you don't have to hunt so far within your craft supplies if you've got things subsorted in Ziplocs. That Ziplocs to me are, I use them everywhere. I use them in all sorts of, subcategorizing in every kind of room in the house. Doesn't matter to me. Every client I say, I need a Ziploc for, and I send them to their Ziploc supply so I can use a Ziploc because it makes a huge difference in how much you can corral your stuff. And Ziplocs are super low cost, right? Like that's a super easy thing to do. One of the reuse things that everybody does, this is just an example so you have some idea. The pencil cup that used to be a coffee cup. Everybody takes an old big coffee cup and they throw a bunch of pens and pencils in it, right? This is a perfect example of we're going to reuse the cup from its original purpose to now it's a storage container for pens and pencils. That's a super obvious one, but it's exactly the kind of process you're trying to do. Go through and see what can be repurposed from what it was originally designed for to be something new for you. And it'll save you money if you can find something in your house that will solve the problem for a minute while you go hunting for the right one, or while you budget to pay for the right one. You can still solve your problem in the meantime. So let's talk next about low cost help for your project. I do hear from people a lot that, I can't afford a professional organizer. What can I do? How can I get help when I can't afford it? The first place that people go for cheap or free labor is they go to their family and friends. So their family is probably like the first go-to, but it's probably not the most effective one. When you're having to deal with your family, then all the family dynamics get into the middle of the process, and it makes it a little bit more painful for you to get the help. So I wouldn't start with your family unless you have a family member who you have a really great relationship with, you work well together with, and it all, works out for you. But that isn't the place that I would start first. Instead, I would go to your friends and ask amongst your friends who else needs some help with the project, who else is trying to get organized and work on something, and would they be willing to trade project for project? So you have the ability to, you can go and team with them on their project, and you guys can focus on that together and sort of share the wealth, spread the work, and then reciprocate the other way. They can come and work with you on your project. That way you're not having to do it alone, and the two of you are both being creative about each of the spaces. And there's always one person who is objective in the room, you know, who doesn't live in the house. When you're at your friend's house, you can be objective about stuff for your friend in a way that they can't really be objective about their own stuff probably. And so it really helps to have that sort of removed, more objective point of view if you guys team and help each other on each of your projects. That's certainly a low-cost way to do it. Professional help is a little bit harder to access. My rate, I've been in business for a decade, and so my rate reflects that I've been in business for a decade. And when I started out, I was certainly a much lower cost. And so if you want to get access to an organizer, you might want to go looking for somebody who is new in business or just starting out. They might want to practice on you. Those are my air quotes, right? They might want to practice on you for a really low cost, and in exchange for before and after photos for their website or their marketing materials, or a testimonial from you about what the process was like, or did you find it helpful, or were you happy with the results? Any kind of an organizer that's just starting out, they don't have a big budget either. They certainly don't have a big marketing budget. And so they're, you know, just building their website, and they're not showing up in the Google search results. So if you go Googling, you're going to find organizers that have been established and been out there for a while, and they're going to be more expensive. So it's a little bit harder to track down somebody professional, but if you start asking all of your friends, talk to people at church, go on your social media platforms and ask around. That person that is new, who is trying to get their feet wet and get out there, is doing everything they can think of to let people know that they're starting to be an organizer, but they don't, like I said, they're not showing up in the Google search results yet. They haven't been out there long enough. So you're going to have to beat the bushes a little bit to try to find them. But anybody that's trying to do it is telling all their friends and family. And if you start asking around you, you're eventually going to come up with somebody who's like, oh, I have this friend at church who blah, 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 blah. There's going to be somebody out there that's trying to do it. Those people will be really grateful that you're willing to try them because they're new. And, you know, the rate should reflect that. And like I said, if you might strike a deal, here you can take before and after photos, or you can take in-process photos, or I'll write a testimonial at the end, or whatever, in exchange for low cost or no cost organizing help. Now, will they be willing to be your organizer for the rest of your life for free? No. But you can probably get a few projects done that way, and it would be helpful. And then maybe you have a relationship, and you can, you know, go to the point where you're paying them after you've gotten comfortable and you understand what they can do for you. It's just a thought that there are so many people out there trying to do this for a living, and they're new, and they're not, you know, they don't have a big website presence, Google presence. They're not blowing up the internet yet. And so if you can find them, you can probably get some support and help from them in a way that is not budget busting. There's one last thing, and then I'll be ready for questions. There's one last thing I feel that I have to say as the Clutter Fairy. It is my duty to say to you that the best way to to organize on a budget is to change your shopping habits. So a lot of people get to the place where they're drowning in their stuff, and they want to organize it, and they think that the thing that they need to do is to go out and get a bunch of ways to contain all the stuff that they've got. And when the truth may be that you just need to thin out how much you're trying to manage. So keep in mind that the knee-jerk response to the chaos may be, oh my God, I got to go spend a bunch of money and buy a bunch of supplies. I can't afford that. How can I do that cheaply? But it may actually be really, I just need to let some things go so there's less to manage. And then what I have is sufficient or much closer to sufficient in order to contain everything that I own. That's just my thought process. Make sure that you're not adding to your own burden by adding organizing supplies into all the other stuff that you're trying to corral, which is why I end up digging out organizing supplies out of people's garages and closets that are empty, because they tried that solution to the problem and it didn't solve their problem. So just a little clutter-free extra advice down the pike here. Budget organizing is always a matter of searching for the best thing that you have available. And it requires, you know, bargain hunting, just like any other kind of shopping. You have to go prowling through stores, looking for stuff. Ross, places like that always have something in their store inventory somewhere. It's just a matter of being willing to go digging long enough to find what you want and to find some things on sale. And hopefully you can make use of January and go get some supplies that you want.
Gail, can you tell us what is the price range for professional organizers in the Houston market these days? And do you have any sense of what kind of prices there are in the national market in the United States?
So I have to be careful when addressing pricing, because it's very important as a NAPO organizer that I don't give the illusion that we are collectively price fixing. So I have to say that I can give you a range, and I would say on a national level, the pricing is somewhere between, I would say, $40 and $200 an hour, depending on what level of expertise, whether it's residential, commercial, you know, small business, big business, project management versus, you know, organizing the kitchen drawer. There's some, you know, there's a wide variety of services being provided out there under the umbrella of organizing. So, you know, the average residential person might not get up to that higher end, but in Houston, I would say the pricing is somewhere between 50 and 125 per hour. And, you know, on the national level, in smaller markets, the prices might be slightly lower, and, you know, in big cities and in more commercial applications, the pricing is going to be higher.
You've advised people to, you know, like when someone approaches you and they're not in your service area, you usually suggest they visit the NAPO website and find the names of some organizers close by. And I don't think any organizer will have an issue with just telling you what they charge and how they work. And so, you know,
exactly,
people can call around and try to find someone who's just getting started who fits their budget if they need the professional help.
Exactly. If you go to napo.net, NAPO.net, there is a tab that is about finding an organizer. And so when you click on that tab to find an organizer, you can put in your zip code, and you can put in, there's a distance marker within 5 miles, within 10 miles, yada, yada, yada. You can get up to like within 200 miles. So you can go in and put in your zip code and a mileage range and get all the people that are members of NAPO at the national level who are in your area. And those listings click out to their websites, click out to their, you know, bios, that kind of stuff. So you can see some basic details about those people, and it gives you some organizers to try who are members of NAPO, which means that they abide by the NAPO ethical standards of maintaining your privacy, doing a professional job, you know, yada, yada, yada. So it's worth it to go to NAPO first to see if there's somebody in your area. I have gotten emails from people around the country where there's not anybody that's in a close distance to them. But even if there's somebody that's 100 miles or 200 miles away, they might be willing to come if they, you know, you can arrange for them to come and be there the whole day, or come and be 3 days in a row and then go home or something like that. If you really are desperate for help, you might, and you don't have anybody close by, you might be able to get somebody to travel a little bit to come to you. Not the first time that that's happened. And somebody that's, you know, one of a few organizers in a in a smaller market in a more rural area, for instance, they're probably already used to driving a lot to get to their clients and to keep themselves busy. So don't edit yourself out on purpose.
Rosemary has a couple of questions and comments.
Okay.
First one is, what are some of the best places to find organizing supplies?
Okay, so we're gonna, the top of the chain for me is the Container Store, and the reason I say that is just because of the variety of options that they offer. So clearly the Container Store has containers, and that's what they're all about. So everything in there is a huge variety all in one place, and it's a great place to go look and see all the available options. It's also probably the most expensive option. So if you start there looking for ideas, you can go to other places and look for alternatives. You just won't have as much of an option. Like I said earlier, Walmart and Target both keep organizing aisles where they keep a lot of storage containers year round in their stores. They do sort of change the colors for the seasons. Like, at Christmas time, there'll be some green and red ones, and then Halloween, there'll be some orange ones that they'll put in when it's time to go back to school. There'll be a whole bunch of organizing stuff that's related to college dormitories. So they fluff the contents seasonally. It's all organizing stuff. It just changes over the time of the year. So they have permanent organizing sections. Also, Home Depot and Lowe's have storage, the home organization aisles as well. They tend to have, they have some, they'll have moving boxes and things like that for moves. They'll have, shoebox containers and, 50-gallon containers that are stackable for the garage or in the closet. They have some of the bigger organizing objects, and they'll have a lot of shelving. So unlike Walmart, where they're not going to have a bunch of, build it yourself shelving units, Home Depot and Lowe's are going to have those shelving units. So you can get plastic shelving units, you can get wire, sort of commercial grade wire shelving units that have multiple shelves. You can build them yourselves, yada, yada. So those are the best places to go get the shelves that you're going to put the containers on. And then they have some, like I said, they have some larger containers and a few, like shoebox style, mid-size level boxes that work in some storage solutions. So Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's.
How about IKEA?
Yes, thank you. Duh. Not everybody has an IKEA. Houston's lucky that we have our own store because we're a big enough market, I guess. But you can order a lot of IKEA stuff online. So IKEA is a great, they aim for low cost. Their inventory tends towards smaller spaces because they are aiming to help people in small living environments. And so you get a lot of modular, adaptable, expandable to fit the space kinds of storage solutions. And there's lots of things that are targeted for children. They have their sort of own organizing products to go with the kids. And it's a great place to get large volume. They have consistent inventory. The prices are reasonable, and they'll ship anywhere. So you can definitely get some stuff online from IKEA.
And their modular stuff, they have 3 sort of standard size depth bins.
Yes.
Plastic bins with lids that are interchangeable that fit in a lot of different pieces of their furniture to serve.
Yes, and
drawers.
They're sturdy as well. They're very sturdy, hard-sided. They don't crush easily. So IKEA is a great place for things to try.
I may also mention on the budget end of the spectrum, Big Lots.
Yes, and that's another place like the dollar store. Big Lots is, the inventory is kind of random.
Hit and miss.
It's hit and miss. You never know what they're going to have. But when they score a deal, if you are there to benefit from it, that's awesome. You might be able to get something low cost from there. You just won't be able to consistently go back and get it over and over and over again, which is more of a problem for an organizer than it is for you. But if you see a deal there, it might be worth grabbing it while you see it. There's no guarantee in that kind of a place. A Ross, what's the other one next to Ross?
Marshalls.
Home
Home
Goods,
Goods, yeah.
Big Lots, dollar stores, they're all going to have intermittent inventory for organizing. And so they'll be low cost. You won't be able to go back and have it be there again the next time you go probably, but they might come up with some great one-time grab it while you see it solutions that are, it'll be super easy on the pocketbook.
Another question from Rosemary. What are the projects that you would want to pay an organizer for? What are the projects for which you'll, get the best bang for your buck to work with an organizer?
Good question. So this is where you have to ask yourself, what projects have you tried to accomplish and been either unsuccessful with the results? Your solution has been to constantly move the stuff around the house over and over and over again, but you never actually get anywhere. Or you are avoiding the project because it seems so overwhelming, or you are so triggered by it or upset about it. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking, here's the stuff that's in the corner of the garage that is left over from your parents' house after they passed away. And it's been there for a decade, and every time you think about it, it makes you twitch, and when you think about it, you want to cry, and you can't face it. So anything that you feel like there's an emotional wall between you and accomplishing the task is the perfect thing to let an organizer come and help you with, because they don't have that emotional wall. They can assess the project, and they can help you get past your own wall to get to the project and get it done. And then they're there to partner with you and to do it in the most effective way. So having an organizer doesn't make the amount of work disappear. There's no, it's not rocket science that you pay somebody and suddenly they can get it done in an hour when it's been taking you 200 hours. Like, that ratio doesn't exist. But as an organizer, I have seen it all and done it all. I can immediately come up with solutions and process. I can make a plan in my head in a hurry, and I can keep you on target and do it in the straightest line possible through the amount of labor that you have to do to make it happen. So spend your money in areas where you feel super stuck and you need somebody to hold your hand and help you past your own stuckness to get it done. That will be money well spent, because once you've worked with somebody like that and gotten yourself going, a lot of times it's enough to let the person get you started, and then you can work for a while and get some more done, and then you can have somebody come out again. Like, they don't always have to be there with you every moment that you're organizing, but if you use them as, it's sort of like you do the homework at home and then you go to class and you spend an hour with the teacher and, learn from your homework and then go on to the next thing. And you can do the same thing with an organizer. You can let them get you rolling, and then they go away and you keep going. I will tell you that Marie Kondo, Tidying Up, what is this book anyway? The KonMari method is what I'm talking about. And they just put on Netflix, there's a new show that she's producing where she's going into people's houses and organizing with them. And so and there's a season just out. They just published the first season. So there's episodes that you can go watch. And what she's doing is she goes and works with them for a little while and gives them an assignment, and then she goes away. And they keep, here's day 1, day 15, day 25. So they're showing the intersections of her and the clients over time as they work on the project when she's not there. So that's been really fascinating. She gets them started, she gives them the ideas and coaching, and then she goes away and they work until she comes back 3 weeks later. So it's a perfect example of intersect with an organizer at strategic points to keep you going. And that way, maybe you see an organizer once a month. One of the things that I do is I have a subscription service where they get charged once a month and I go see them once a month. And that keeps them rolling along on their projects so that you're making headway and you're not forever stuck and you're not forever left to your own devices. You know what I'm saying? You interact with somebody about the time that you get stalled again so that they can keep you rolling and keep you going. Spend 3 hours with an organizer, get a whole bunch done in that time period, get some motivation and some momentum to roll out after they're gone. There, that's my commentary about that.
There was another part to Rosemary's comment on that. She said, I've had paper organizing, but the paper always comes back.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a waste unless I changed. And so she makes kind of a good point that you want to make sure that part of what you get from hiring a professional organizer is changing something about your own mindset.
Right.
To make the project worthwhile.
Right.
I mean, it's fine if you have something finite and you hire an organizer to help you get through it once and for all, and then you're done, and that's the end of it. But if it's any of the ongoing things, keeping your closets, keeping your desk, keeping your mail under control, keeping your kitchen cabinets from overflowing,
The maintenance.
Then you have to learn. Then you have to learn something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and after a lifetime of habits along a certain path, one interaction with an organizer isn't going to change the way that you do things forever. He is going to come in and try to give you some ideas, give you an alternate process, but you're the one that has to pick up the ball and run with it. Absolutely. So the thing about doing the paper is, we've had this conversation about mail in the clutter area a million times, right? There is no end to the mail that's going to come to your house, and it's going to keep coming for 3 months after you're dead. There's no time where you're going to arrive at, I've now processed all the paper in my life and I get to sit here and ignore paper forever. That doesn't happen. So really the thing about paper is that you have to learn a new process, a new habit to stay on top of it and keep it manageable for you. And mostly that is that you have to do something with it every day, every other day. You have to manage your mail. You have to manage your to-dos, yada, yada. And those are habits and processes and life, the ways that you tackle life, that you have to learn a way that actually gets you the result that you want. And we all struggle with that, and we all have different skill sets towards that. So if you are super horrible with paper and you've tried a million things with paper, it may be that the best, most efficient way to spend your money is that you let an organizer come and help you get through the paper, because that allows you to stay on top of it and not be drowning and not lose things and make sure your bills get paid on time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which does improve your life, even if you don't have the skill sets or the ability to learn the skill sets. If it's something that is just beyond your scope, when you get sick of cleaning the house, you hire a maid. It's no different that you have to manage paper just like you have to scrub your toilet. And if you don't have the skill set and you have been unable or feel like you will be unable in the future to learn to do it differently, then maybe it's worth your own sanity that you invest the money in letting somebody else come in to do it that can do it 50 times faster than you. Like when I go through and pull people's mail out, man, I can rip through some mail. I have processed some mail in my life. I have processed all of my clients' mail at some point. And there are some clients who they never were able to do it unless I was there. Like that's just as much, that's what they needed me for. I had to do it for them because they just couldn't face it. And so for whatever reason that is, and all the clients are different and who knows, but it might be worth it that you hire out for the thing that you suck at, right? If you're terrible at it and you feel like it's not conquerable and that you see no change on the horizon and it's not something you're going to change at this stage in your life, then you clean the toilet because you can do that, and you pay the organizer to help you with the thing that you can't.
Well, and for that particular example, you wouldn't even necessarily have to spend the money on a professional organizer. This could be your neighbor's smart high school or college kid who's looking to earn a little extra money, if what you're doing is just once a week having them, throw away the junk mail and put the bills into a folder for you, you know what I mean? The sort of the bulk part, or go through the old boxes for you and just pull out the stuff that needs to be kept.
Right. The only caveat I would add to that is that, then you have privacy and personal data going across for somebody that's young. And so you have to be comfortable with the person who is touching your stuff, because they're going to be all up in your business. That's the bottom line. They're going to be all up in your business. So it needs to be somebody that you trust and feel safe managing your stuff. Maybe you hire a bookkeeper instead of an organizer. Anybody like that, it's going to be logical to go through the mail and say, here, this is stuff I think is trash, and I think this is bills, and I think, anybody that has that sort of logical sorting capacity can do that work for you if that's where you're stuck.
And nowadays there are a lot of people working as sort of virtual assistants doing, office clerical tasks and things like that. And that's generally at a lower pay scale than professional organizers. So that might be someone that you could look at for that. Delia has a great question.
Okay.
Would it be a good idea to hire an organizer to help you learn the skill set and ask the organizer to let the client do the decluttering? Do most clients not want to learn? Is it easier for the organizer to just do it for you? It's kind of a big question.
Right. So typically when I work with somebody, I'm working with them, not instead of them. Like, I don't go in and tell the client to leave the room and I do the organizing and have them come back. We go through it all together and work on it together, so that as I learn about their life and I ask them questions, are we keeping this? Are we not keeping this? Why? How does this fit into your life? Why is this important? I am gathering data and I'm learning about where their resistances are. I'm learning about where their skill sets are. I'm learning about what is preventing them from handling it themselves. And sometimes it's just that they're, emotionally overwhelmed and they can't face it. And if they have somebody holding their hand and we work on it together, they get to the other side and go, oh, I feel like I can do this. Nobody ever is cured after one session of learning. Like, there's some repeat learning that's required. So I work with them and I am coaching them, doing it together, asking them to participate, making suggestions, and letting them tell me, I would never do that. I don't understand that. I don't like that, so that I can adjust my advice according to what works for them. But it's always a partnership for me, that I want you to do it with me because I want you learning as we go. I want you getting hands-on experience. I want you watching what I'm doing and giving me feedback about, I would never do it that way, so I can stop and do it a different way. And that process does transfer skills, and that's the point. There's an idea of sitting with somebody while they're working, and it's called mirroring, where I'm sitting with the client and sitting next to them, and they're opening the mail, and I'm watching them and asking questions and making suggestions and corrections as they go, to coach them through the process of, okay, so they're opening that piece of mail and like, I don't know what to do with this. Well, tell me what it is. Okay, well, this is what I think is going on, and this is what I think you might want to do with it. Oh, okay. So I will often try to get in there and let them do it, or do it with them together, so that they're learning the skill. Some people, that skill transfers. Some people, they modify 5%, but they never get 100% of the way. And everybody is different. So I am really good at organizing and I'm really bad at cooking. and I find the idea of cooking sort of irritating. So everybody has their stuff that they're good at and the stuff that they're not good at. Most of us can learn some organizing and can add to their skills, and they may not ever be as good at it as a professional, but they will be good enough to manage their own lives, and that's enough. And some people, because of whatever's going on in their life, wherever they are emotionally or physically, whatever their mental health or their physical health is, there may be permanent impediments to them gathering that skill and keeping it. So it's going to be completely different for everybody. But most organizers are trying to transfer skills. That's the goal. And we do that by working with the person, mirroring behavior, coaching them through, and hopefully transferring the ideas to them. Did I answer all of them?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we're about out of time.
Oh, awesome.
So
already. Okay.
let's wrap up. I want to let everybody know about our upcoming events. On Thursday, January 24th at 7 p.m., we'll meet in person at a Healing Collective in Houston.
Yay.
Our next online Clutter Conversation event will be on Tuesday, February 26th at 12:01 p.m. Central Time. We'll announce topics for those events soon. If you'd like to receive notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group at meetup.com/Houston-clutter-coaching. You can also follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our mailing list. We love to hear from you, so please send us your questions and topic suggestions in the YouTube comments. And you can also reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
And we're so grateful that you came today. Thanks so much. Happy New Year from the Clutter Fairy family, and we'll see you next time. Bye.